organized, they didn't want to have that conversation live.
With the minesweepers?
Well, you know, I think, or go ahead, because it looks like I have one tech difficulty. Sorry, thank you.
Okay. Moment of silence, please. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember that.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. As I said earlier, I have a change to the agenda. Item 4.4, Remembrance Day, moved to the beginning of the agenda to accommodate staff schedules.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I think Sarah's going to go first, and she's doing Decoration Day with you in June, and I will follow. Is that all right with your
That's fine.
agenda schedule?
Yep.
All right, thank
That's
you.
fine.
Great. So I'm Sarah Emke. I was here a year ago with you, or just over a year ago, regarding Smith's Knoll. So that's what I've been here last for. And so I'll be doing Decoration Day in June. I have the notes from Deborah Brown Simon from last year's event. And so I just wanted to go over the event checklist, as well as some of the notes and comments from last year's event, so that I can start planning, and hopefully by the next meeting I'll be able to come back to you with the everything booked, the buses booked, all those items. So here's just making sure that I understand what you would like the event to look like, to ensure that we're going forward the way you'd like to see it. So we have the event on June 8th, and I just want to start at the basics, if that's all right with you, because there's a note about the event rotating between Woodland or Hamilton Cemetery. I'm not sure if that's a practice you still would like to see happen.
I always thought it was at Woodland Cemetery. I can't remember going to Hamilton Cemetery.
Okay, so that might be a long time
It
ago.
may have been.
And-
Bill, you've been on this committee a long time. Did you ever remember going to Hamilton Cemetery?
No.
Okay,
I can't remember.
so it's just the rotation between the upper and lower at Woodland?
Exactly. That's
And-
the only difference. I think last year was in the lower,
That's right, that's what my notes say.
so it'll be in the upper this year.
Okay, so we'll proceed with the upper one.
Good morning, sir.
Day, everyone.
There's coffee there. You want a coffee or tea?
And that's courtesy of Councillor Johnson.
You forgot the lunch.
That was you. Steaks
So-
are coming.
So for the buses, previously the buses, there'd always been two buses, and they would pick up all the people who chose to here at City Hall,
Yeah.
with a departure at 10:30. There was a note from last year's event that it might be better to be closer to 10:15. I don't know if you felt that, if you remember there being an issue with loading onto the buses and there being the correct amount of buses.
I'm not sure because I was there at the park,
Okay.
at the cemetery, so what happened here at City Hall?
What time are we speaking about?
This is the June decoration
June
day.
decoration.
Yes.
Well, 10:15's not bad. Get them a
10:15?
little bit earlier. That's not a problem.
Okay, so we'll ask the buses to come a little bit earlier just to make sure, and then we'll have enough time to still leave at 10:30 departure with an 11 a.m. event begin time for the ceremony. And the buses then would depart the cemetery at 11:45. Does that
That's
sound?
That's the one up here.
Yeah.
Ours is later on,
Yes, yours is in August.
August, yeah.
That's right. Okay. If I talk about the who we can have as participants in the ceremony, last year you had the Dundas Concert Band as your band. Are you happy to proceed
Yes.
with them as well?
I think they're under contract, if I'm not mistaken, to perform at all these events.
Or one for is
Dundas concert band.
Yes.
I think so,
Yeah,
too.
I can speak to that. It's a 3-year agreement, letter of agreement, and this would be the last year of
Okay.
those 3. So I'm sorry I didn't update
That's okay.
Sarah on that. So yes, you're right, for both Remembrance Day, the one service, and for
Well,
Decoration Day.
Dave Brady was looking after that, eh?
okay. So I'll go ahead and just confirm with them just about the times. Last year for the MC and vocalist, you had Fern Viola. Should we-
I'm sure he will do it again. I don't want to speak for him, but he should be here, but we'll confirm that with him.
Okay.
And
So now, would you like me to make the request to participate?
you can do, if
Okay.
you wish.
Okay.
Make it official, and then that way,
No, not a problem. And the same, last year we had 2 buglers. So
Yeah.
we had Bill Fife and Jerry.
Bob Fife, that's me,
Bob,
And-
why does, I know, that's,
and Jerry Rattray. And Jerry's in Arizona right at the moment, or on his way home, I don't know, but I'm sure he will be participating again, so
okay, so we'll extend the invitation.
we'll confirm that.
Great. And then we had Art as the saluting officer last year. Is that,
That's fine. You'll be there, will you
We
not?
don't usually have the same person being the saluting officer every year. If somebody else
Well,
should
we'll
be recognized.
we could have Dave, or we could have Bill, or we could have,
Maybe,
you know, as long as we have a saluting officer, that's the main
it'd be
thing,
nice to
so.
get somebody else. I don't want to.
We don't know who that is yet.
Okay, you'll
We'll fight it
consider it?
amongst
Okay.
ourselves over that and come
Okay.
up with an answer for you.
so maybe for the next meeting I'll.
Okay.
Okay, and would you like to do the same with the parade marshal to consider that? Or do you have someone in mind?
I don't have anybody in mind at the moment, but I'm sure we could work that one out too.
Okay. And how about the clergy for the ceremony? Is that, It's usually-
Francis Chisholm?
that's right, that's who I have on notes. Is that
Okay.
a regular
Yep.
officiant? Okay, great. So with those, I'll certainly make those with your permission. I'll put out the put out the
Okay.
official requests, as well as booking the city hall and working with the cemetery supervisor to make sure that all of the logistics are in place, as well as the decorations
Okay.
at the cemetery in time for the service. I'll make sure that the wreaths and all those elements are, certainly I'll be bringing those, and I know
Okay.
that they were refreshed last year, and we have them in the Lister Block storage area, so we know where they are. A couple other notes that I noticed is certainly about making sure the information gets out to the public. So we'll put out a press release as well and make sure that's distributed. The budget for this event currently doesn't allow for print publications, but certainly making sure that the press release is sent to people.
Okay.
As well, I saw a previous note about an interest in getting a poster out to the schools. I don't know if that is something that you would like to see proceed for in time for the decoration.
No, it won't happen by then.
Okay, okay. But I do have the information on how to get that to the schools, in case you didn't have that already. So I can
That's great, yeah.
share that at a future time. Would you like me to come back with the copy of what the program will look like next meeting?
I'd like to see the program. I think we need a copy amongst
Okay.
us, or 2 or 3 copies, so that,
Great, so I can come back for May with that.
okay?
And you can look over and make sure that it has all the content you'd like to see. We will be changing just I have a copy of last year's. We will be changing a little bit of the layout, just to make sure that the type is made a little bit larger, so that it meets some of our regulations that we have now for printed publications.
Oh,
And I don't know if there's anything that comes to mind for the planning of the Decoration Day event that you'd like me to look into or make sure that I've confirmed before the May meeting?
The only thing I'm thinking of is that, not that I'm unhappy with Arts Services as the saluting officer, but I mean, we're always trying to promote participation from some other units. Maybe we should, or organizations, maybe we should look into the idea of having somebody externally instead of always being somebody from within our council.
I have no problem with that. Who are you thinking? You got somebody in mind?
I don't, but it was just an idea of trying to bring in more faces.
Yeah. We can do that. We can.
Do we have any stipulations? Like, does it have to be serving or ex-serving member of the military, or can it be an honorary?
Let's keep it in the service. I would say.
Okay.
Keep it with a service
So
person.
somebody who's worn a
yeah.
uniform at one time or another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right off the hand bat, I'm thinking of Linda Fershner from the RHLI Veterans Association. She could be one.
For consideration, sure.
Yeah, you know. Dan Muir from the Navy Vets. He's the president down there, but he's with their color party too. So I don't know whether he'd want to do that. You know.
Well,
so,
when I banged myself up there last year, and they were the host,
yeah,
and he took over from me.
Yeah.
From the cemetery.
I know. So there's a couple of people we can think about, and we'll let you know about that.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I had for that, and so I'll come back with more detail next week.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Over to me. Hello, everyone. My name is Pam Mulholland. I work in the Tourism and Culture Division as an event coordinator. I know the Hamilton Veterans Committee members from my work last year with you on your Remembrance Day services, both on the Sunday preceding Remembrance Day and Remembrance Day itself. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, I wasn't at the services. Another staff member was, but I'm back and happy to work with you this year on the Remembrance Day, both of your Remembrance Day events. So with respect to roles and responsibilities, I do the Remembrance Day events with you, working with you and this is our first meeting with respect to those. I also am responsible for the road closures and the applications for the other Remembrance Day events in the city, Ancaster, Dundas, Glanbrook, Waterdown, and obviously your two events to ensure that police services, road barricades, traffic warning boards. So I oversee and work with you, and I also have a larger role with respect to veterans events.
Do you have
in other communities.
East Hamilton on your?
No.
Are you talking about the Decoration Day? Decoration Day in June will be Sarah, and we work in the same section. And in August, for East End Decoration Day in Dieppe, it'll be Jen Anisef, who was at Dieppe with you last year. There's three of us who are our event coordinators, Sarah, myself, and Jen. And you have the three of us as a team this year working with you on your veterans events throughout the year. So Remembrance Day will be my focus. And I've read through the updates and the minutes of your last meetings, and so I'm not going to go through today with respect to Sunday, November 9, Tuesday, November 11, with officiants and so on the way Sarah did. I'll be coming back to another meeting. I did want to connect with you though about, I know you've had presentations that Gore Park is under construction this year. And in speaking and working with Anna, we have booked LIUNA Station at your request for Sunday, November the 9th for the Hamilton Parade and Service.
Garrison Parade.
The Garrison Parade and Service. So it will be going from the armories to the outdoor property at LIUNA Station. And we have contracted for that property. So that's on the Sunday, correct. And for Tuesday, November the 11th, we have booked City Hall, the forecourt, City Hall building itself to do the service on the property here. Now I know there's been some conversation that if Gore Park is ready, what do we do then? So my intention is to come back at your June meeting this year with site plans for City Hall, for November 11, for LIUNA Station, with respect to sound systems and flow, and work through that with you.
Okay.
I will do the plan B to move everything back to Gore Park in case it's ready. We'll have that as an option for you as well. Right now I've been told that it will not be, which is why we've booked these other two venues. I know from your last meeting, and this is what I want to talk to you about today, with respect to LIUNA Station, for the Garrison Parade and Service, the elements that you've had at Gore Park, the tents, the stages, the concert bands, the sound systems, all of that, all those logistics, we've already identified with LIUNA, and they will be in place, and it fits within your budget costing. The one piece, and I know you discussed this at your last meeting, is the memorial itself, the actual structure around which you have the service. And there've been a couple of suggestions. I know the city has a World War I field piece, the gun, that is currently being restored and would be available to be moved to both the LIUNA Station site for the service as well as City Hall. I know you also spoke about maybe another kind of memorial, if it was an image. Temporary cenotaph.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll be back at Gore Park in 2015, so a temporary cenotaph. So I was looking to discuss with you, obviously there's the idea of having a World War I gun, and it is the centennial of the beginning of the war this year. There is a temporary cenotaph option and what that would look like. Looking to you to direct, do I come back to a meeting with those options for you, laid out in costing? Because the one thing is that it is not in your current budget this year to do a temporary memorial. I have spoken to our museum staff, and they estimate somewhere in the $1,000 to $2,000 range to move that gun from where it is to LIUNA, to set it up, to move it to City Hall the next day, to have security around that piece. It can withstand the weather. So that's one option. So with that kind of envelope, we could also look at other options for a temporary cenotaph. And wondering if you want to go the route of the gun, or if you want me to explore other options and come back.
It's my understanding that both them field guns are all finished and done with. In other words, they're in storage, waiting for a place for a permanent home. So they've fixed them all up and did all they had to do with them.
But yeah, I know Gil Bibby was restoring 2 of them. There are 3 that are owned. And in speaking to the museum staff, there's one that is the larger field piece that is the World War I piece. So I can come back with the images of what those look like, and all 3 of them, determining, I guess, is that the memorializing around that piece.
Well, the question is, do we want to use a field gun as a cenotaph? That's that's a question. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So
My only thoughts on that is if we do go with the gun, I'd kind of like to see if we can't come up with some kind of a symbol for both the Air Force and the Navy to go
well,
there.
that's what I'm saying. You're eliminating them by having the.
Well, but even if we can borrow an old prop and put that up there with it as well, and perhaps something from the Navy as well, but it would be nice to have, if we're going to go that route, to make it all inclusive.
Well, I fully agree with that, but
Right.
what we got, I'd rather see just a temporary cenotaph as opposed to.
Well, what about a drumhead service?
Yeah.
I know we had you
Why
there
don't
for a
we just
reason.
ask the 2 units?
Nothing wrong with the drum head.
Colors
No.
Well, that's what I say.
to do the drum.
We have,
Drumhead,
Bill.
yeah.
Drumhead.
Yeah.
We do a drumhead service, and
We can do, that's easy to do. They don't usually bring their colors, but they'd be glad to, and we can pile them and be quite a neat.
yeah,
Decent
well, you
ceremony.
have both the regiments there.
Yeah, they love it. I know they'd be quite happy to do it.
It's good service.
Yes, sir.
What if it rains?
The drummers come out, pile the drums,
Yeah.
they put the colors on the drums, and
Yeah.
That's your
No,
cenotaph.
no, I understand, but what if it rains?
Armories.
Is there any,
Well, then there's a drive, then they can do it in the armories anyway.
We've done it in the armories before.
Yeah.
so that's
Well,
kind of
use
your
the drum
sentence.
head
The
service.
only only time that we don't go to the armories is on the day itself. If it was blizzard outside, we'd hold the service at the cenotaph. But unfortunately, the cenotaph is not available to us this year, so.
So we do the drumhead outside at City Hall?
And it becomes the,
You do it both places now. At City Hall, we don't have a regimental band there.
Well, we could use our
On
band.
on the off day.
Yeah.
Our band will be there.
We can work that out.
We can
Yeah,
do.
yeah, we
Okay.
can work that out.
We
We'll,
just need directions so Pam can start going and getting costs and all
And,
that kind of stuff.
and we,
see, the drumhead service, there's no cost.
yeah.
the bands are there, and they just come forward with their drums, pile them, and the flags are placed on top, and that's your cenotaph right there.
Sounds kind of cool.
I'm speaking to the units on Monday night, and I'll bring it to Mike Reel and
Okay,
Scott, and I'm sure, I have no doubt they'll be quite happy to do it.
that'd be terrific.
Normally, with a drum head, it's regimental flags that are laid on it.
Colors.
Yeah, is there any chance that we can make sure that there's a Canada flag that goes out there as well?
The regimental color is based, the Queen's color is based on
Okay.
Canadian flag.
All right,
Gonna work. I promise it's gonna be good.
okay.
But we'll have flags in the backdrop and that, so the Canadian flag is gonna
Oh, yeah.
be there, and
Yeah.
the Hamilton flag, you know, but
Yeah. It's good.
Sounds good.
Great idea, Art.
Excellent.
Holy cow.
It's a good thing you're here.
You solved all the problems.
It's over, it's sharp.
We want to put the emphasis on it being a great idea, not cheap.
So, and
So that's the direction, that's
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very helpful.
So
So,
you'll work with,
Jordy, with respect to, I know we have the information on the flags that should be there, but if I could work with you to determine the protocols correct, and have the infrastructure for those flags. Okay. And then, I will come back to your June meeting regardless, though, with the draft site plans for the two
Okay.
facilities. LIUNA Station is interested in when the Veterans Committee members would come for that site visit, and I think maybe later in June, once we've had the meeting to discuss
Sure.
the layout. Would that work for all of you?
well, depending on the time, Dave has still work, he's still a working stiff, you know,
Right.
the rest of us are retired, so, we can make it, I'm sure.
Okay, we'll establish the time at the next meeting. We don't need to do it now, and the date for that site visit? Okay.
One question while you're here, Fern,
Yeah.
will you MC the West End decoration?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Thank
that's
you.
confirmed. You
Unless you
don't
wanna
have-
read
you don't have to
Excellent
send them a
job,
letter?
thank you.
I'll be glad to.
Okay,
Great.
thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, have a good day.
You as well.
Good to see you, man.
Nice to see you too.
Okay.
sorry.
Get out there. Thank you. Declaration of interest. We got a quorum now. Can we vote on this and I'll sign it?
So David's moving in.
You're moving it?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? All right. Want me to just put my John Henry on
I
that?
do.
Four point two, Field of Honor, update, revised report.
On this one, basically, I took out the regular permanent forces. Is that what I took out, David?
Sounds like
Otherwise, it remains the same as
Okay.
the one you received last month.
Is everybody happy with it? Somebody move it, you moving it, Dave?
Sure.
Okay,
So
take it easy.
Seconder?
Seconder?
Get in there, you. Need your name in writing.
All in favor, okay, that's good too, that passes. All right, yeah, I'm moving right along, get out here for my lunchtime break. Now, what did I do with the agenda? No, that's not it. There it is, right there. Remembrance Day, oh, we've done that, 4.0. Remembrance Day Information Procedure Manual. Did you get a copy of
I
that?
did, thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Any updates on it,
The
Dave?
only update I can say is that I believe through Rebecca, I was asked for a copy of this so that city staff could start working on some of the entries on there as well.
And they're very excited that you started that manual.
Oh, okay.
I actually have an email that says that.
Oh, okay.
Do you know? That's good, you know. Somebody enjoys your work, Dave, that's good.
Hopefully we can make it worthy of the praise.
4.4, we've just finished. Okay. So, 4.5, Veterans Place, Gore Park. Do we have an update on that? Yes, Jordy?
We're moving along. Those of us that were in the stakeholders group know it went very well. They've gone to the point where now they're looking for design elements and the design. We've had a little challenge with pictures and things in that Ken Coit, who's the spearhead on the staff, the challenge is we're looking for a place to dump pictures so the designer can find them and see what works. And we don't seem to have a vehicle for that. So I'm still waiting to hear back from Jana, because before I start making discs and gathering up hundreds of pictures that aren't going to be of any use to her, I'd like to really know what she's thinking. She's just back from holiday this week. I think we're okay, because Brenda from the Hamilton Military Museum had all kinds of stuff that's unique to Hamilton. They're great pictures. There's just huge potential there. We just need a little bit of help on what they're thinking.
We have in place right now the Dropbox.
Evidently the Dropbox, well, if we can use this Dropbox, it'd be,
That's exactly what it's there for.
because the city won't allow their Dropbox and Ken didn't want to use it, so
Oh, okay, well,
I'll-
there's one established
Great,
already
that'll
for the
work.
Veterans Committee. So.
that'll work. And we'll just make, you and I will make some file folders for they need to sort of divide them up by panel, so, or by subject area, and then people just dump them in.
Yeah.
But we also need her to tell us the format before we go chasing them and ownership and some of that stuff. But all good. I think we're in good shape, and by April we'll have something to look at. But it's
Well, we're in April now.
well by the end of April. He was talking the middle.
The only thing I can say though is that we're dealing on the free side of things, like the Dropbox. We're not paying for any
No.
additional space. So any of the pictures they're going to put up there, they should be very cautious of the file format so that it doesn't get too huge.
I think what we'd like to do is put them in a lesser format. They pick the ones she likes, and then we go back to the person that dumped them in and say, where do we find the high-res format, or whatever it is they
Okay.
need
Yeah, okay.
to turn it into the graphic. I think in the case of a lot of the ones at the museum, they'll have to scan them initially. Like Brenda has these big books of them, and some of them are great. There's a few that we're still trying to take, and we're still looking for stuff. So if you have great pictures, particularly of Navy, we got lots of Army stuff. But we're looking for Navy and Air Force related, and we're not looking for pictures of people. So we're actually looking for, the best way I put it is I talked to the police chief the other day, we're looking for policemen that are doing stuff on UN duty as well, because they're a part of it. Well, we really don't want to picture them getting their medal, we actually want to picture them doing something with their Hamilton Police shoulder flash in it. And maybe we want their shoulder and profile more than we want their grinning face. So but that'll all come out. The more we get, the better it will be. I think everybody is going to be quite happy with the project. One of the challenges we are having that we're working on now is, remember the talk about the front panel that's going to be the entryway.
Yep.
One of the things that has come up from Ken's perspective, and it was one of the easier things to fix, is that we have the new signs there that just say Veterans Place and Veterans Way, but they're the street signs. So what will be the entrance sign? So that front of that most expensive utility box or whatever is going to be in essence, the gate of entry to the place. We're going to have a granite front on it. And what we're now working at doing, it will probably say Veterans Place and have the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Canadian Forces badges etched, into it in granite. The problem we're having right now is that in the last year, the Army, Navy, and Air Force have actually changed their badges. So the Army, we know what they want. The Navy is working on theirs right now, and the Air Force, we think we know what they have changed theirs to. That if it's not actually the old style, it's got a different motto on it. But we think we can get all that, and probably what we will do for them is we'll go to the National Cemetery in Ottawa, because they're the first to have the new versions of whatever these will be. But anyway, that's what it looks like. I think it's positive, and that, you know, Ken was hoping that we'd have another stakeholder session sometime this month, and with a little bit to show, and then the designers will go off and do their things. But that all looks very positive, and I had nothing but great feedback from those of us that went to it.
Yeah.
Very happy with the results.
Thanks,
Can
Shorty.
I ask a question? With these photographs or pictures and stuff like that, especially if you're dealing with like equipment and more like that, are we? I can imagine that there's going to be an emphasis on trying to put an awful lot of the older type of stuff on there.
Nope.
No? They leave it wide open?
What we end up having, as you walk around the panels, for those of you that weren't there, they're going to tell stories, and their stories are based on words, and the words are like courage, which we sat down and we worked out what all the words were. Now, what we've discovered since we did that, some of the words are very hard to come up with examples or pictures, but when we talk about coming home, going away, as you start to sort of put things in a pile, it's pretty easy to see the trends that come out. Like, and one of the trends is, you know, Hamilton as the industrial heartland of the war effort, and with that comes, you know, Rosie the Riveter and a whole bunch of things like that. There's lots there, and then there's World War I, World War II, but the wall that the one is that I'm the sort of OPI for making sure they get right is the wall that looks at the cenotaph. And that wall is going to be the continuation of the cenotaph. It's going to start in like not actually 45, it's actually going to start Korea, because Korea is the last thing on the cenotaph. So it will start with Korea. In fact, it will start with 27 Brigade, the first NATO troops that we see, for example. So what we're going to put on is the peacekeeping medal, the Afghan medal. What you will have up there, the SSM, every Canadian soldier that has been overseas since 1947 will find one of a medal that he has on that when he stands at that wall with his or her granddaughter. So that's what we're hoping it will be. There's certainly lots of room on it. And that's how we'll reflect back on the other war memorial. So that's the one area that remains a little traditional, but is also make sure that we capture the modern era. The other part that we're working on, and I'm looking for these pictures and things on, is the side panel of that utility box. Is actually, because when you get right down to it, it's like walking in through here. So if we were walking in, and this is where the big wall that is going to show the marching troops going to World War I on it, that striking picture, if anybody was at it's a fantastic picture, walking down King Street for World War I. And then on this side is that panel. On this side of that panel, we're trying to reflect Hamilton Garrison in some form. And whether that's a collage or whether that's what we really wanted to have actually are the two masked bands walking in sort of profile down one of the streets. If we can find the right picture for it and then surround it with some of these other things that reflect, in particular, Hamilton Garrison as it's evolved as the Garrison City. And that's where we're looking for examples of young Hamilton men and women, particularly in the modern era, in the Navy, Air Force a little more difficult, in the militia units, doing neat things. So if you got pictures that reflect that, dump them in there, and you know, I can't say that's what they'll use because they have a contract, but the more we give them and the more ideas we give them, I think we can be sure that they're going to respect, particularly the veterans' perspective on these things.
Thanks, Shorty.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite a project. When it's done, it'll be fantastic. Okay, 4.6, evaluation of volunteer committees.
I have the draft for the responses I got. If you take one and pass it down. And then I have I got another response today, so I have a few more things to add to it, but that's basically what you're handing in.
So this is everybody's responses rolled up into one document because we have to get it in to the clerk's department.
Okay.
And the one I received today, basically, the comments are the same. Except for the one about the service, there should only be one main one in the city, which I will add.
Terrific. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Did you get one, Bob?
We had more meetings.
That's how many you had in 2011.
Is that all?
Yeah. 2011 was a bad year.
All right.
I thought your responses for the end, how many meetings you've had and how many you haven't had quorum for, are excellent. This is a very good committee.
Okay, moving on to 4.8, D-Day, 70th anniversary, June 6, 2014.
June Decoration Day.
Okay,
Decoration Day.
no, that's, we done that.
Yeah.
4.7, Sarah, look after that for us.
Yes.
So we have nothing on, yes, David?
Okay, I have been approached by Teresa Paris, who's from Parks Canada, and they are trying to get together a 70th anniversary, some event for that weekend. When I spoke with her, and that I told her, you haven't really given yourself an awful lot of time ahead of this, that a lot of organizations have their own events happening and this kind of thing too, but she is very much looking for anybody who wishes to participate. If you can pass on the information that I don't have it with me right now, but if you've got any names or anything else there, please feel free to send it over to me, and I will then forward these contacts on to Teresa. But they're looking to try to pull something together and show it the dignity that it requires.
The reason I slipped it to you, Dave, is because I knew you'd be interested, and I won't be here. I'll be out of the country, so.
Well, unfortunately, I won't be available either. I'm attending a wedding that day.
Oh.
So the 6th. But I understand that they're looking at something that's going to go for the whole weekend as well too. But I don't mind being, a funnel towards sending any information.
So just a wait and see on that.
She's going to come up with some type of a memo of understanding with the city and whatever facilities that they use. Things that they're looking for, obviously, is a color party. One of the things that they talked about is she's getting in touch with the schools and trying to get some of the kids involved in creation of I think she said something like memory stones or things like this. I think a lot of that's got the same idea that you had, where they come up with these ideas of courage and all this other kinds of things, and they're going to be making these stones and marking them with the kids involved in this too. So they are looking for participation from all ages. I believe that she was looking for possibly a Veterans Affairs backdrop somehow involved in this. HMCS Star, they're trying to get involved with it too. She talked about the creation of a memorial garden, and one of the things that she said, there's a gentleman, Ralph Crane, who's some type of a sole survivor of something which happened for D-Day or that time. I'm sorry, I don't know the gentleman, so.
Neither do I. Never heard the name before.
But anyways, if you can come up with any ideas, please forward them to me, and I'll forward it through to her. And
Well, the thought's there now, so.
send you in the right direction.
Maybe we can.
Mhm.
get all our thoughts working in the same direction.
Yeah.
Pass it on to
The
you.
first thing I did was I sent her email off to Francis Chisholm because he was interested in the first place about getting something going for them.
Yep.
So I, forwarded it off to him so that we can try to coordinate something. I'm sure there's lots of activities going on, but they might all be very small things in isolation, where she's trying to come up with something which is a little bigger, I think.
In the minutes of the last meeting, it was noted that I reminded the committee that HIDA has a dinner each year.
I'm sorry?
HIDA,
Has a,
Friends of HMC is HIDA. They always have a June 6th. So I don't know how we can tie it in.
got some note here about HMCS HIDA, so maybe she's trying to coordinate with that.
Could be.
Maybe,
Could be.
yeah.
I'll be at your meeting next week, so I'll find out more.
Okay, standing items. 5.1, budget review, event expenses review.
That was basically what Pam went through with
Okay.
Remembrance Day, and she will have
Okay.
more information for you in May.
I was surprised at the cost to move that cannon.
$1,000, yeah.
Which guy was
On
that?
the back of a truck and just
A little more complicated.
Yeah.
It's an artifact.
going down the street,
artifact.
maybe they'll think we're going back to war. Okay. 5.2, World War I anniversary commemorations. That's the plaque, is that?
The basis in the city is probably, there used to be a plaque that was on the front of City Hall, right here in the doorway with, it took a flag and that.
Yeah,
And
we have
probably we will do that on the actual Remembrance Day.
Okay.
We could do it in August, but as you'll see with something else I'm gonna speak about later, doing little things at City Hall in the middle of a weekday don't gather us much in terms of profile, support, people, out to see it. So the best thing is we will try and, I think if you agree, we'll build it into the November 11th
I think
ceremony
it should
and
be
unveil
after
it.
the
Well,
November the 11th
yeah.
event.
This committee has already decided that it would be after the
Okay.
November 11th.
I mean, same day, right after it though.
Yeah, as a separate ceremony.
And
But I-
Pam is working on it.
Okay.
Okay, but I think the general public should be made aware of it somehow, whether it be in, over the radio or in the newsprint.
We'll just put it with our advertising.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who'd be interested in it.
Because we'll have it installed before, but we'll cover it or something and then
Okay.
put the
Great.
wreath as the big thing.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna just backtrack slightly here. I thought of it when we were discussing Remembrance Day and that kind of thing, and then all of a sudden it disappeared for some strange reason. I think it's old age, but who knows? I'm in fine company. But one of the things that we had discussed before, but we haven't, some company,
Not your-
was thrown around the idea that if we're going to be revamping Remembrance Day and we're going to be looking at the whole process and documenting it, some of the members were talking about other places that they had attended Remembrance Day, some of the things that they threw into the ceremony that really impressed them and that kind of thing. And rather than just keep on doing the same old, because that's what we do, it's an idea that we should start collecting these ideas and see whether or not there's something that we want to adopt into ours. If we're going to turn around and spend all the effort to document all of this and to come down with a procedure, then why don't we look at this again and see whether or not there's anything that other people are doing that we really like that we can sort of pull into ours, so that we'll have this together for Remembrance Day as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there while I thought of it.
That's a good idea.
So you want people to bring back ideas
Sure.
to this committee?
I mean, just because it's the way that we've always done it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have to be the same. I mean, if things are happening at other places that people really were impressed with, then why don't we turn around and try to bring that into our ceremonies as well too? So.
We'll borrow the hangar from Warplane Heritage and put it over Gore Park and get everybody down there. Yes, sir.
Just an idea with respect to trying to get some federal government attention on the fact that we really are the only Veterans Committee in Canada that we're aware of. I'm wondering if perhaps we, as a committee, or from you as chair, could send a letter to the Minister of Veterans Affairs inviting him not only to one of these committee meetings, but also with respect to our events in the fall, to see if they would be willing to do so. I think it's important, particularly surrounding the legions nationally. They're experiencing a significant amount of financial shortfall, as you recognize. And I'm getting a number of calls in my area. I have probably the most legions in the entire city in my ward. And in saying that, they are really at a point where their financial hardship is really at a crux of an issue right now of financial sustainability and future operations. So, if we can perhaps put a campaign together to partner with the legions collectively, somehow bring them together so that we can collectively approach the federal government to see if there's a means of trying to find a formula for them for sustainability, it would go a long way, I think, in having them actually exist in the future. So I'll allow you to think about that and what steps you'd like to take on it. But I think it's essential that we find a way of partnering with the legions and try to develop a plan, not with local dollars, but with federal dollars or provincial involvement in trying to put a plan together for them.
Not just legions, there's all the veterans
All
clubs
the veterans,
within the city. Yeah.
When I say legions, I mean all veterans.
Okay.
Okay, maybe not being a member of any of the different clubs or anything else there, it's somebody who's just looking at things from the outside. But every time I hear about these things, everything seems to happen in isolation. And I've said here before that it'd be nice if that we could turn around and try to do something which sort of collectively gets these people together. But I think a message needs to be sent out to them. If people are sending you this stuff here, is that they need to start banding together. Everybody seems to be fighting for their individual dollar for these things here, but I'm positive that people who go out of their way to join legions and that kind of stuff, that I've spoken to lots of people who are members of 2 or 3 different organizations, and if they can turn around and get past the business of we're trying to make you our member and start working together with each other as well too. I don't know whether they're getting that message themselves.
Right. I think it's important from our perspective, Mr. Chairman, is that we could be the leaders on bringing them together and trying to focus in on one message, one focus to bring to the federal government. And if we can tie that into a formal invitation to the Minister of Veterans Affairs, I believe it would be his jurisdiction portfolio. Would you say that we should be contacting about that? You agree with that? Okay, so that would then. Yeah, that would be my advice.
I just had the idea. We had the mention about the poster. Okay, the thing that we'd like to get into schools and everything else there too. I mean, why don't we turn around and try to use that as a gathering point? Say, this is the idea that we have. We want to do something which has got all the different memorial ceremonies and that within the city of Hamilton. We're looking for input for what's going to be content. We're going to be this, and try to create this into a project that if we can get provincial money or federal money and that into this as well too, then that's just great. But try to get all these people working on one single thing before, with the idea that they're going to be sending it out to kids and trying to remember the past, but you're also trying to develop future possible members of your group as well too. So I wonder if we can turn around and use that as an idea as a focal point to get all these different groups and that involved in.
And tie in the invitation as well to the minister, just so that we can go to him with an ask, a formal request for help on these matters. And I'm more than willing to say that Hamilton should be the pilot project because this whole problem exists nationwide. All the legions, all the service clubs, they're all experiencing the same dilemma or difficulty. So in essence, we could be the pilot project for that, being that we are the only Veterans Committee, and be the leaders of bringing everyone to the table to find a formula and a solution that has all levels of government involved.
Great idea. And
I'll allow you to, or one of the members to move that motion accordingly at any appropriate time.
who's going to move it?
So,
Okay. All in favor? Terrific. Done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. 5.3, parking for veterans in Hamilton. Again.
Oh, it's coming up.
Is it coming
Yeah,
up?
Next emergency community services committee.
Okay, thank you very much.
The motion's been written.
What's involved, just,
It's going back to council.
yeah, what is involved?
Parking for veterans. You have the plates on your car.
Right.
You should be allowed to park for free. Yes, dear.
Maybe just explain the process, Ann. It's coming to Emergency Community Social Services. Does that give the members here an opportunity to come and speak to it, or can you explain the process? I think that's probably where the questions are coming.
Yeah, so Bill, at the last meeting, what we were talking about was to re-look at veterans parking in Hamilton so that they could park at any Hamilton parking lot or on-street parking just with their provincial plate. So it doesn't matter what war you were in or where you served. If you have the plate, you get free parking. So we've written a motion that Councillor Marula will bring forward to Emergency and Community Services. Yes, they can delegate. That's correct, right? Yes. They can delegate at Community and Emergency Services to speak to that motion.
Yeah.
So the motion is very clear, just to look at the implications of providing free parking in any City of Hamilton parking lot or on-street parking if you have a veteran's plate.
Well,
So
I've been
they'll
getting
come
back
forward
some
with
years ago when that plate first came out. That was the idea of the city, and that's what the city were talking about.
Yes, and they do that now, but they've put a proviso on it that you have to be 65?
60.
60 or over. So we're asking to re-look at it because there's many veterans or that are under
Yeah, I know what
60
you
years
mean.
old. So it's to provide them with the same service.
Yep. Afghanistan veterans, for example.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's going forward. That's
Yes.
good.
And we'll provide the date for everybody.
Yes.
Is there someone from this committee that will be speaking to that issue? Because I think that needs to be decided. If this counselor, or this good counselor is going to that committee to fight on your behalf, it'd be wonderful if you had the people in the audience coming down and speaking to it as well.
The chair could do it on behalf of the committee if you'd like.
Well,
I'm just trying to find the date for you.
Yeah.
May 12th, 1:30.
1:30.
That's the parking.
That
Yes.
is when Councillor Marula is going to bring the motion
And
forward.
that's what these,
May
12th at 1:30.
That's when both of your reports are going as well.
where at?
Council chambers.
Where's that?
Upstairs, the council chambers.
Dave, would you like to speak at that, if you're available?
That's the only other thing too, is whether or not I'm available. As it stands right now, I shouldn't have any problems, but
You can still write letters of support as well. Doesn't have to be by delegation, or you can assign someone to speak on your behalf. You can get a letter writing campaign. You can do whatever you want.
well, tentatively, yes.
Okay, so we'll put it in your delegation request so that you can speak.
Okay.
We'll do that for you, Bob, and for Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great. Finalize, hopefully, once and for all. 5.4, upcoming events. You got tape, okay. Coach back there. I'll go and share.
Excuse me, I don't know.
I got permission.
Take care.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
He's very kind to me.
See ya. Take care. Anybody got any upcoming events that are important?
I was going to put it together, but June 5th is the police Yellow Ribbon Day.
Those are the ones I've added.
It's
police station.
6.3.
Yeah, and the invitation will be coming to you anyway, so
What's
Okay.
that?
that was,
June
I just want
5th.
to make sure that they.
I won't be here, I'll be hopefully sailing down the Rhine. We're getting on board the boat to sail down the Rhine. Okay, that's already at the bottom of the page, Jory, so.
Just wanted you to know that
all
the
right.
invitation will come.
Okay, we'll go to 6.1, Battle of the Atlantic Parade. Information attached.
I did send it to everybody, and David, I think, will speak to it.
I don't know how we got I was last month when we were here, a gentleman joined us, Jeff Baird.
Yes.
Who's the, one of the Navy Cadets commanding officers.
Yeah.
Now, I don't, you did,
I did send the email.
yeah. I don't know what happened to my original. Excellent, thank you. Okay, so I'll just quickly read this and just to remind everybody. I'm not sure if you remember me or not, but I was fortunate enough to attend one of the meetings at City Hall a few weeks back with Councillor Marula. Of late, it has been very successful yet stressful time for our Corps. We have just received information regarding 2 events that are very much in conflict with a third. That third is the Battle of the Atlantic Parade. Our Ontario division has just dropped our provincial competitions on us that weekend, and our branch is full tagging this week as well. Something had to give, and unfortunately it was the parade. My staff and I are totally dedicated to such events and feel that there's going to be a hole in our heart due to the lack of participation. What I would like to do is have a small ceremony at our facility to honor our fallen sailors. To do that requires much preparation, as you well know, with your connection with the Remembrance Day parades. Would you be willing to assist, or at least, at the very least, offer your guidance to the organization of this event? Your assistance with this would be most valuable. Please advise. Okay, so I ended back again saying that people are leaving these things to the very last minute and making it kind of difficult sometimes, but that I was not looking for an excuse to just cop out. Okay. I was looking for some ideas as to what it was he was looking for, to see how we could help him at. So what he's given back to me was, my plans are to have a small ceremony at our facility on a regular Thursday parade night. My objective is to, although he didn't, oh yes he did, down the end, we're talking May 24th, which I guess is their Thursday night. What they're looking to do is to show homage to the fallen sailors and their families, to educate the cadets in the meaning of the Battle of the Atlantic Parade, to show and educate the meaning of Canadian citizenship to our young cadets. I definitely do not wish to downplay the meaning of the spirit of the official parade dated on May the 4th, but to show... Okay, so they're looking at... I have to confirm some of the dates here, but to show our support in the absence of said parade. They're looking for a master of ceremonies, perhaps a couple of people to offer speeches that would hold of interest to our cadets, but still punch the message home. My plan is to ask for our sister corps, the Royal Canadian Sea Cadet Corps, Lions, to participate that night as well. And finally, it would be an honor to have guests perform an inspection of our corps. Please advise if you have any thoughts. Thank you for your support. Well, one of the first things that came to mind for me was the one and only member we have on our committee who hardly wears Navy stuff every once in a while. Are we feeling under the spotlight?
Well, I can be coaxed, I guess, but it's just a small thing. I don't think
It's not a major parade.
It's not. It's just a meeting of the kids, and there's a million of those going on every. I go to schools and all sorts of stuff, and I don't think really it warrants somebody from this committee to go. There must be all kinds of other people that are available for that kind of thing.
Well, he's asking this committee to help.
To assist in some way. So we're looking for...
Now, I've already committed, because he's asked me formally prior to that meeting that he attended when I brought him here. So I am going to be involved, but more so with my capacity as his councillor, that a member of this committee. But I can join the two, and we can acknowledge the fact that I'm both a member of this committee and his councillor, and go.
Okay.
Just on that.
But I guess
You and I are the only two. Excuse me, David. You and I are the only two sailors on the committee. Bill was in the,
He was in both.
yeah, he was in both. Yeah, so, well, we got three of us. Go ahead, Dave.
So I guess, like I said, he's looking for maybe a master of ceremonies, and I guess if there's anybody who's...
Can I make a suggestion as well, sir?
Sure.
Just on Bill McCullough, former alderman. There are a couple of things I'd like to do with respect to Bill. Is firstly, I think we as a committee should acknowledge all of his service to this committee. If I'm not mistaken, it may have been him that established this committee from day one. So I think historically we need to look at that fact. But if we can somehow make him an honorary chair and then to honor what he's done for this committee, and secondly, tie in maybe this other initiative to see if he may be interested, I think it might be advantageous.
It's a good man, too.
Okay.
Bill, really, I think
Good
it
man
hasn't
for
been
that.
mentioned enough how much he
Oh, I know,
played a
okay.
role in establishing this committee.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make that a friendly suggestion.
Those of us who know him knows how much
Yeah.
he did, you know, so.
This committee did nominate Bill for a Queen's
Medal.
Jubilee
Queen's
Medal,
Jubilee Medal.
which he received.
But I think as a formal, just an honorary chairperson of this committee perpetually, or an honorary member per se, would be a nice gesture for us.
I guess what I don't understand, and I'll be a bit of a devil's advocate for just a minute. This is a Navy cadet, a Sea Cadet
Yes.
group. They're sponsored by a number of people, probably the Navy League, the Royal Canadian Naval Veterans Association, and STAR are out there. I don't see why they wouldn't go to them first.
Right.
And that our to them would be, thanks for coming, it's great, but why don't we put you in front of, in touch with the Naval Veterans League, where they'll find them, of which both of them are members. And they develop an ongoing relationship with them. That's just the way I
Sorry,
would.
you said Navy League, and who is the other?
Well, there's two or three versions of the Navy veterans, of naval veterans. I'm sure both of these fellows are members of at least one or two of them. And why we wouldn't go to them as being their.
So the Southern Cree Legion, we sponsor the Army cadets, the Navy cadets, and the Air Force cadets. And we have a liaison officer for each one, and he attends to their needs financially and anything they want. So they should be going to their liaison officer, to whoever sponsors them.
Whether it's STAR or
I'd get in touch with Star, too.
I'm just wondering about the Navy Club on Parkville Avenue, whether Dan Muir would, be willing to participate,
It's always, I think it's a good idea to just extend the invitation or outreach, but again, getting back to trying to bring, rather than separating, we should try to somehow concentrate all our efforts and bring everyone together. So maybe this is another opportunity where we can actually try to bring people in so that we can collectively work on veterans issues clear across the board as opposed to in silos. Just one idea.
No, I tend to think you're right here. Instead of, if we're gonna talk the talk, then let's walk the walk. If we want to turn around and be a central point, well, not necessarily a central point, if not just a point where people can come to try to do this stuff, then maybe we should turn around and try to take a lead role in this and bring whoever together for this. I feel, I know he's contacted me simply because he had my email address, but having never been in the Navy and this kind of thing, and have the least amount of connections for anybody on this group, I kind of feel a little floundering.
But we can advocate on his behalf, as Councillor Johnson just mentioned. We can become the advocacy body for all veterans, regardless of what association you're involved in.
Well, I thought that's what we were, it was, different things happen.
Do you know whether or not you have the time to try to work with this gentleman and?
May the 24th, you were going to
Well,
confirm dates?
he's got, the only thing is, he says, they've got the official parade is dated May 24th. But then he's got down as an afterthought here, on the bottom, he says, I'm looking at May 24th, which seems a little odd that they should have it 20 days, be having this thing 20 days after the official parade. So I'll have to confirm this. Or, I believe I forwarded the email to you already.
I think I got it on my computer, yeah.
Do you have any objections to,
I have no objections to it.
I mean, we already know you do a fantastic job of Master of Ceremonies.
Yes, I
Come
do.
on.
Right. Get lost. You're putting me on the spot, right? No,
I haven't been there
I gotta tow Art along with me, and we'll inspect the troops.
You've been voluntold.
So I mean,
Favorite word.
we're Navy,
Okay,
and
we'll do it.
so just confirm the dates, and as long as it's before the 3rd of June. 3rd of June to the 16th, I'm gone. So
How long are you gone for? 2 weeks?
yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and there's 2 days in Amsterdam and 2 days at Lucerne at the end of the trip. Cost me $1,000 for travel insurance. That's the part that hurts. That's the thing that hurts.
Yeah, we
Okay.
feel so sorry for our mothers.
Yeah, I know. 6.2, National Day of Honor, Afghanistan, May 9th. Jordy, I know you want to speak to this.
As you know, this has come up in the media a little while ago with the proclamation of 9 May as the National Day of Honor in respect of the completion of the Afghan mission. The mayor asked me to look at options. Most of the veterans of this campaign are still serving, as it works, in units in the garrison. So the greater number, though, are here in this. We've got a fairly good grip on where they are. The problem we're having is the aim was to have a simple ceremony, probably outside City Hall here. Then have the veterans fall in as a group and march back to barracks where a party would take place, and there would be enough room going down the street, down James Street, Veterans Way, that it would be when people were coming out between 3 and 4 on the 9th. That was the original sort of thought. It's still a work in progress. I'm going to meet on Monday with the COs and RSMs of the units and see what they think they can do. One of the challenges, for example, is that getting out bands at that time is problematic. It was, although it's not generally known, that there was a huge effort to just get bands out during the day for Lincoln Alexander's funeral. They're all, they're teachers and students, and it's just not that easy to do. So that may cause a problem, might affect the ceremony. It could well be a simple flag raising. In addition to that, Chris Eklund and the Heroes organization have a group of things going that they're trying to put together. One of the challenges with this, if you're going to have a party for a group of people, you have to sort of make sure that it works for them. And so that's what we're trying to get the units to talk about, what will bring their young men and women out on this day for something. So the original plan was to keep it very simple, not have it be a repetition of the Garrison parade or anything like that, that we'd invite them to basically congregate in the front square. At some point they'd fall in, there would be a couple of speeches to honor them. Probably the act of remembrance would be done with the bugle calls, piper, and the like. And then they'd be marched off back to hopefully the armies where there would be a party of some kind. That's the concept, but that was really nothing more than much of a straw man to see where it will go. The chain of command of the Army 32 Brigade commander, he supports it because the brigade that our units are drawn from come from, the major garrison centers are Windsor, London, and Hamilton, and to a lesser degree Guelph. But his intention is not to bring them in for one grand show or something. It is to support civic community ceremonies in the major garrisons. So, he will pay the troops for that day and all that. It's just a case of what we put together that gets them out and it is appropriate. After I meet with them, I'll send an email rep and see what we're coming up with.
Okay.
In regards to the other community support stuff that Mr. Eklund is working on, we're watching to see what that comes out with. He's talking about so far, 3 things. I know since he sent the email to the council that you saw from him about 8 days ago, 10 days ago, he's looking at something down at Star, lighting the waterfalls, and an event up at the Warplane Heritage. I just don't know where that goes. He's gathering corporate support, he's looking for things, but so right now we're concentrating on this small civic ceremony and we see where it goes. As soon as I have more, I'll get it. It comes before our next meeting, so I'll make sure we get it out into the chair and out quickly.
I'm on the email list, Matt, from, her name has escaped me right now.
Yes.
But from the
Pooja.
MFRC.
Oh, yes, yes.
A possibility of having better participation in that kind of stuff is that if you get the families buy-in, then, and they make it into a family event type thing, then there's a possibility as well too. But just put
That's what I'm asking them, what
Yeah.
they think's a good
Yeah.
idea, because that's,
The minute you talked about this, the first thing that came to mind to me was like a Freedom of the City ceremony. like we had
it
before.
might look a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the sort of quick and dirty model for
Yeah.
it that we did before. But we want to end it with some kind of a thank you party. And the COs, despite the fact it's the Army and you can order them around, they're volunteers. They'll show up if they want to show up. So we're working on that now. But I'm looking for ideas. But what I would hate us to do is build a big thing that doesn't work for them, and then nobody
Falls
comes.
flat, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay, get the information for us, Jory, and get it out to us and look at it. Okay, 6.3, you've already talked about that, the yellow ribbon. Support the troops event, June the 5th. Oh, sorry, Art.
Just an item in 5.4 from Councillor Johnson, you commented on this at the last meeting, which I wasn't at. Regarding a mini decoration day, I mean, as you know, I'm from Cindy Creek, so we're sort of amalgamation people, kind of thing, and out in the suburbs, there's all kinds of cemeteries with thousands of ex-servicemen, and they're never going to be recognized as the ones in the city. And I suggested in the past that we have a decoration Sunday declared somewhere or another, and the families will go to their various cemeteries and put a Canadian flag on the graves of the servicemen in these local cemeteries. So the idea, I mean, it's just mine, and I can see that you're thinking along the same lines as I am, so maybe we can put something together and get some other people interested, maybe the local cemetery management. And you speak about approaching the government for assistance. Well, maybe we could get the government to supply the flags, and you could go to the local management office and get a flag and take it to your loved one's grave on one special Sunday a year, something like that. Because
It's, you know what, and I'd like to talk to you further about that, to be honest with you. And as Councillor Marola has suggested, to write a letter to the minister. In my opinion, there should be a wish list there, and that could be part of the wish list. The brochure could be part of the wish list. The Legion support could be part of that wish list. In Glanbrook, we always have our Remembrance Day ceremonies separated from the warplane. So even though it's on the 11th, we'll have ours in the afternoon rather than at 11 o'clock if it's on the day after or the day before. It's always the Sunday prior to Remembrance Day. We're hoping to get some sort of a self-guided tour throughout Glanbrook to those very places that you're talking about. So you're talking on a much grander space, which is, again, pooling everybody together instead of doing these silos. So it makes a lot of sense, and I like the idea that Councillor Murla came forward. Let's write a minister letter asking him for some of these things, and one of them is coordinating. Maybe if it is just a self-guided tour, here's where all the graves are, here's where, here's your flag to set up. set up, and maybe we could have volunteers be at the certain areas so that they can talk about whatever it is that is relevant to that cemetery, to that troop, to that group. So our self-guided tour we were doing in Binbrook was Memorial Hall. There's only 10 of them built in all of Canada. 2 of them are in Hamilton, 1 being in Glanbrook, the other being in Waterdown. That was one. We have a cenotaph right in the back of Mount Hope Community Hall, and it got moved, not physically, but a new one was built at the Municipal Center. And we also had another, I'm sorry, I can't remember right now, it was the 4th one. So that would have volunteers at all 4 stations, and on that, just before we had our Remembrance Day ceremony, you could self-guided tour and take yourselves around with your family to visit some of these places and find out the significance with them. So it sounds like you and I are on the same way.
I'm not trying to take anything away from what we do here in Hamilton.
No.
I think it's great, but the public participation is minimal, very minimal. And this way we could get maybe the public more interested outside of the city.
Outside of November the 11th, yeah.
Just a little bit of a background of some of the ideas that have been thrown around here at the table. And Art brought forward the idea that because of the lack of participation for the 2 separate decoration days that we do, he was wondering if we couldn't turn around and just build it into one and make it that way. Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but with some of the ideas that are going around here, I think maybe we should take things the other way. Now, the idea of approaching the schools on these posters and everything else there, if we were to turn around and start giving ourselves like a roadmap of where we'd like to go to, maybe this is what we're going to work at towards as well, because we're talking about the different ceremonies that we have here in Hamilton. We're trying to bring ideas and everything else there forward. We're trying to get the younger generation to learn about this stuff. If we work on the business of getting the legions and other organizations together with the idea that we're going to turn around and work towards this poster. The poster can turn around and get into the schools, which it advances the ideas to the younger generation. And then what we can turn around and do is take that further, that if we are going to turn around and come up with a city remembrance, or decoration day, then maybe we can turn around and start to bring in the ideas of the identifying, who served in the military and this other kinds of stuff, and we can have let's work towards an event, which is maybe this idea of the a single day on a Sunday or something where we bring people into these that give them the layout of the land and who's involved here and that kind of thing too, so that we can sort of bring that awareness.
Well, we have East Hamilton Decoration Day, and then they have the
West
city.
End, yeah.
Yeah.
We have
You've
that.
got, and you're talking about 2, in my opinion, you're talking about 2 separate things. You're
That's
talking
right.
about events, and you're talking about physical things that you can visit and you can see, so,
Yeah.
in my opinion. The events change, right or wrong. Sometimes it's location, sometimes it could be the date, not anniversary, mind you, but it could be the dates. But the physical beings are always there. So your cenotaphs are always there. Your memorial hall's always there. We have St. Paul's Church, who is babysitting 12 grave sites of the British airmen that never made it home from Mount Hope Airport training through World War II. These things never change. So your brochure, if you're going to put this down, it should be something that can be transitional from today to 5 years from now, because all those physical things are still there.
Well, we have,
Right?
we always do that. East End is August.
Yes, you're right. And is it always on a Sunday?
Yep.
So the date
Yeah.
changes, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right? November 11th never changes, but the date changes for some of the other events. But your physical things, like D-Day down at the beach, those things don't change. So you might want to take a look at what is exactly going into that brochure that can be used for quite some time, and it's not a one-off, and the next year it's out of date because your dates are all.
Well, see, the thing is, we normally these Sundays that we're talking about is we'll say the Sunday closest to a given date.
Yes, but
So-
locations sometimes can change too, because Gore Park is under threat. Do
This-
you see what I'm saying? Is that there are physical things that will never change. Those are the things that you want to make sure you put in, but be really careful about what dates you're putting in because, or what events you're putting in because they do and they are flexible. So,
But
and I
think
agree.
the other thing is that the awareness idea of this whole thing is a kind of a slow creep, because you
Yes.
never know what the response is going to be until you actually start
That's
getting
right.
there. So that's why I'm kind of saying that if we sort of try to tie things into each time, let's keep moving the goalpost,
Absolutely.
you know, and.
But you
and-
do have a good base, and that's your physical beings out there,
Yeah.
the HIDA. Everything's physical out there, it's not changing. That's what, to me, should be your template. So I like that idea about sending a letter to the minister and put your wish list down
We're
of what we
working on
need
it.
to talk to him about, not just come visit us and see what's happening. These are the 3 things that we're very serious about, and these are the things we want to converse with you.
On that point, I think it is important that we make that, obviously, that letter as thorough as possible. So we look at maybe even reaching out to others with respect to what they want to communicate to the minister as well. So if we can make it all inclusive as well as very thorough, we're only going to have, I think, one shot at doing this, and we might as well do it properly.
I gotta suggest that we have it here for the next meeting, so that everybody can see the letter
Sure.
before it's sent.
Sure.
And I think Councilor Murillo will tell you that this minister probably receives about 8,000 letters a day, so yours is gonna have to stand out a little bit better than everybody else's.
Well, it was just suggested by Rebecca that we strike a subcommittee to put this letter together, so that we have a copy here for the next meeting.
Okay, so on that point, I think we should invite though members of the other legions and, also legions, service clubs, and all interested stakeholders in the community. This could be an opportunity to break the ice with respect to taking a leadership role as a committee and bringing them to the table. So maybe we should actually give ourselves 2 months as opposed to 1
Okay.
to thoroughly pursue the process.
Get the wish list.
One option we might consider, given the 5,000 requests he gets and the nature of the current minister, is perhaps we could base it around inviting him as part of the party for the unveiling, official opening of Veterans Place at Gore Park.
Perfect.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's the type of thing that will get
Something on the kid.
attention.
Yeah, that's the kind of, that's actually a great idea. Because the invitation alone is one thing, but if we have something new that he can sign, that actually does help out greatly.
Helps it off.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Good stuff.
Great idea.
Good idea. Well, we gotta get the letter put together, and
If we are going to strike a subcommittee on this, I was wondering, would you be interested in joining this
Keeping
subcommittee?
in mind, I don't belong to this committee.
Oh, I know.
No, but you can't.
But as a subcommittee, you could be an advisor in that as well, too.
Sure.
good.
That meets with approval?
Does with me.
Sounds good.
And we get
Sounds
a
good, Brendan.
former member of the government.
Did I get voluntold?
Well, he's now a member now.
Hey,
He's a
He's
member
a
now.
member. You
In
made a
fact,
member.
you signed the paperwork, he's with us now. He's in whether he likes it or not.
Until it gets passed.
until it gets passed, not officially. You're hooked.
If you're-
Good idea. But we'll have to work on that and work on it fast, so.
And can I also suggest maybe Councilor Pasuta as well? Because given the fact that his son is in the armed forces, I think
Yeah,
this would
the
be.
more the
great as well.
better, the merrier, you know,
Voluntold.
so we'll get them all,
More importantly,
we'll get them all involved.
Welcome aboard, Robert.
we don't want too
Next
many.
time you come to a meeting, you gotta make sure you're
Can I
back.
just,
in
can I
the-
just
You're
respectfully,
involved.
those subcommittees are supposed to be a
Involved in
small
them?
group.
Yeah,
And I think we should focus more away from more of the political influence, because our role more is to steer this committee rather than to actually be at the front line with you. So what I would suggest is make sure you go to service clubs, you know, go to the legions, go to community and make it grassroots. And because I don't see my role at all as a frontline member. I see it as taking your voice and bringing it to council.
we'll do that. Art, you'll talk to Joyce, see if she gets involved. You talk to Mrs. Scott. I don't know how she's feeling, but down at the Legion, 58. I will get a hold of the RHLI, you know, and see if they have any. And talk to Dan Muir. I got a meeting, I'll bring it up at the United Council of Veterans meeting, and that's a good point to bring, you know, good place to tell everybody about this. Okay, back to 6.3. Jordy already spoke about it. On June the 5th, the police are having their yellow ribbon support the troops. So, you were going to send out invites, Jordy, or
They'll be
invites
coming
will be
from the
sent?
chief's office.
Okay,
And
very
I told her
good.
to route them through Rebecca.
Okay, very good. Anything else? Well, I would say that the meeting has come to an end. Have a great day, a great week, and thank you all for coming.